If you're not up here in 5 minutes after these cars go down, you lose. We ain't gonna give you money back. We're gonna make you pay an extra $200. Come on, sit. All right, let's do it.
Look at little Taylor. I'm trying not to like shake around, but people are like leaning on the fence.
Alright guys, let's talk a little bit about being prepared and managing stress when it comes to racing and going to big events and managing the stress that puts on you so that you are actually prepared to show up at the track and race and do well. So we went to JJ's arm drop in Collinsville, Mississippi, and I mean it was a lot of fun. Faith got to take pictures with JJ the boss and Precious, and she almost went home with Precious. I mean it was a lot of fun. It was a big event, probably the biggest event that we've actually ever been involved in as racers and not just spectators. But we weren't prepared for it. We rushed to finish the car, and you know I didn't know about it until 3 days before the event. So in 3 days we had to swap the turbo motor over into the car, the wiring harness, ECU. We had to get fuel tank swapped with the bigger fuel pump. All the AN fuel lines, we had to get all of them ran, and the car also got painted, and we swapped the suspension over too. Now that's a lot to do in 3 days, and we just weren't prepared. We were going to miss something. So we got there, and we got there to the track late. Actually, we didn't get there when we wanted to, so we didn't have time to go over the car like we should have. So we're rushing to get all of this done and get the car into the lane so that we can race. And we missed something. the transmission sensor was unplugged. And a lot of you say, well, that's just, it's the sensor in the transmission that that controls, that sends a signal is the vehicle speed sensor. It's in the transmission. Anyway, a lot of people are like, well, you don't need that anyway. It just runs to your speedometer. Well, yeah, that's true. But when you're running a Honda and the turbo is set up boost by gear, and every time you go to a higher gear, the boost level increases. That speed sensor is what controls all of that. So we had no boost by gear. We had no boost at all, pretty much. And the ECU Honda went into limp mode, and the car would not rev over 4,000 RPMs. And that's something that we missed. It's our fault because we were so stressed and anxious and nervous about this race being filmed and put on TV, this being the biggest event that we've been a part of. And Discovery Channel had GoPros all over the car, inside the car. There were 3 or 4 cameras filming us, and we got embarrassed because the car wouldn't rev over 4,000 RPMs. And instead of having 700 horsepower, well, 680 is the exact number, but when you're talking to muscle car people, you always tell them your car makes a little bit more. And we wanted so bad to finally have an import on Street Outlaws that wasn't broke or wasn't a show car that had 300-400 horsepower. Something that was actually decently fast. And I'm not going to say that we could have won the event, but I know that we probably could have at least made it to the second round and at least put, a surprise. We could have at least surprised their crew. The weather was getting very cold, so it was in our favor. It would have made the turbo run better, and it would have made most of their motors were nitrous motors, so it would have made them run a lot more inconsistent, and they were having a lot of problems putting their power down onto the track, and the track surface had started to get worse. There was a crash, and oil went all over the lane, and 3 or 4 people after that crashed. And the lane just wasn't taking the power. Well, we had less power than them. We would have been able to actually put it down onto the track, and we probably could have done pretty good had we not missed that speed sensor. So my advice is slow down, take your time, don't put so much stress on yourself, or don't get yourself so anxious and psyched out that you forget to look over simple things. Don't forget to enjoy what you're doing. Have fun. Don't let it stress you out to where you feel nauseous and your stomach's in knots the whole time you're there. Have fun, because it was a fun night, and it wasn't as fun for me and Ryan because we had put so much stress on ourselves. If we would have just had fun and enjoyed it, maybe we wouldn't have missed that speed sensor. Maybe if we were more prepared, had more time to actually, finish everything and weren't stressed about it, we probably could have done a lot better. And now we're kind of just stuck with the result that we got. And it's like Ryan drove the car. They after you run your race, the TV crew comes around and they're like, do you want to do your second interview? Tell us what happened. And Ryan didn't even do the second interview because he didn't want to seem like he was making excuses. You know, that's the way it always seems when it's the way it always seems when, you know, an import gets beat by a muscle car and you tell them, well, something happened. Something could have actually happened to make the car not work the way it was supposed to work. And they just say, well, you're just making excuses. You know, instead of having 700 horsepower like we were supposed to, we probably left the line with 200 at most. We had no boost, we had no RPM, we couldn't rev over 4,000 RPM. Had no boost, no VTEC, nothing. And it bothers me that everybody's going to think that's the way that engine performed. It's just a Honda. You know, it's just a Honda. That seems about right. But the car is actually way faster than it did in that race, and can't do anything about it now except try to race them again next time they're close by. And if we do, then we will be way more prepared. So, you know, make a list of everything that you have to go over before you get to the track. You know, make air pressure, go over your wiring harness, make sure everything's hooked up right, make sure your intercooler piping is hooked up, make sure your nitrous bottle has pressure in it. You know, everything you're supposed to do. Make sure you have plenty of gas. Everything that you can think of that you have to have done while you're at the track, do it before you get there. Make sure, you know, make out a list, and then when you get there, go over that list, you know, and you won't miss anything. And enjoy it and have fun. Don't let it stress you out, or you will miss something, you will make a mistake. And I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say about it, is be more prepared than we were, and you won't be embarrassed on national TV.